Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're watching this, it means that you're thinking of becoming a dividend investor, but perhaps you're unsure where to start. So in this video, I will explain what a dividend investor is, as well as how I got started on my own personal journey. I will also discuss the pitfalls, as well as the many beneficial aspects of going down this route. So sit back, relax, make yourself a big mug of coffee, and let's begin. Let's start with what a dividend investor actually is. A dividend investor is someone who focuses on buying stocks that pay dividends, which are regular cash payments made to shareholders from a company's profits. This investment strategy aims to generate a steady income stream and potentially benefit from long-term capital appreciation on the original stock. Let's start with an example. So you've decided to go out and eat at your favourite pizza place. You get there and you see that there is a huge queue outside, which isn't unusual as they make some awesome pizza. But luckily for you, you've already booked in advance, so you have a table. Whilst eating this yummy pizza, you realise that this place is always busy, and this gets you thinking, wouldn't this be a really cool business to own? Well, some companies are listed on the stock market, which means that the business is happy to sell you a portion of their stock to potential investors. Happy with this news, you decide you're going to buy some shares in the pizza company and become an investor. Because the company is very profitable, they decide they are going to share this wealth with you, a shareholder. Congratulations! You will now be paid on a regular basis. Now they may decide to pay you once a year, twice, or break it down into 4 payments per quarter. In this instance, they pay you 6% spread over 2 payments twice a year. Happy with this purchase? It now gets you thinking, I may receive an income twice a year for the rest of my life based on a one-time purchase in a great company. This is a fantastic purchase. Maybe I should do this again and again and again. Well, congratulations. This is now the start of your journey to become a long-term dividend investor. Now let me tell you about my personal journey. Having spent most of my 20s attempt to trade in and out of shares and make a quick buck, I had limited success. There would be great trades, then there would be terrible trades. However, when I sat down and I looked at the figures on a piece of paper, it was evident that I wasn't advancing my wealth at all. I was merely drifting sideways. This got me thinking about all the different strategies, and then I came across the concept of dividend investing. This idea really appealed to me, especially as a man who isn't really into fancy things and really enjoys my free time. So the idea of gaining a regular income from previous hard work and essentially buying back my free time really captured my imagination. Aware that I was starting this journey much later in life than I would have liked, I realised I would have to approach this style of investing in a really aggressive way. So I've laid out a 10-year plan for myself where I will compound like crazy, then look to enjoy the fruits of my labour. Let's take a look at my progress this far. I own companies like Legal & General, British Petroleum, Shell, and even Rio Tinto, as well as a few others, and my plan is to expand my portfolio into more diverse areas. My dividends have gone from £18.47 a month in 2023 to £94.95 a month in 2024. In 2025, I had a fantastic investing year and managed to get my dividends up to a pretty impressive £166.60 per month. I think it's pretty clear the trajectory that I'm on, and with time, plus consistent investing, this will only grow and grow. As with any financial product, there are downsides and pitfalls that you must consider when investing. Firstly, the price of your investment may fall as well as go up, of course. A business isn't guaranteed to stay profitable forever. It requires great management, constantly being competitive, and a good product or service. Not adhering to this might result in a loss of value in your shares. Again, if the company you have invested in is suddenly not as profitable anymore, they may also slash the dividend payment or even cut it altogether. So you must be active, keeping up to date with all the news and information regarding your company. There is also the concern of a general stock market crash caused by a global financial crisis, kind of like the one we saw in 2008, which could significantly reduce your investments. These are all things that must be considered before embarking on your journey. One of the main benefits of being a dividend investor is the potential to receive a dividend for work that you've already done. You could, in theory, from your investment, receive a regular payout for the rest of your life. This, as it grows, can be substantial and even shape the outcome of your life and what you decide to do with it, which I think is pretty exciting, and it's what got me into it. Now, if you're starting your journey early enough, you will also benefit greatly from the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. This is when the money that you have earned via dividends then goes on to make you even more money. Then this new money does the same, and that process repeats, and eventually, over a long enough period of time, you will realise that the dividends are now doing all the heavy lifting and the magic. Here is an example. So this is Gary at 3 different ages of his life. 18 years old in the first picture, 30 years old in the second picture, and 50 years of age in the last picture. Now, in each of those journeys, we'll treat them separately, as if Gary is about to start investing. He'll have an initial £1,000 to invest, followed by £300 every single month. This figure will be then compounded annually at a rate of 6% every single year, with Gary wanting to enjoy the money when he turns 70 years of age. So let's start with age 50. So Gary only has here 20 years to let his money compound. So over these years, Gary will invest £73,000 of his own money. However, he will have earned £66,277.04 in interest. So he will almost have matched his investment via compounding in a short period of time. And that will earn him a revenue of £696.38. This is still quite respectable. But let's look at the earlier examples to really understand the effect of compounding. So if Gary had started at 30 years old, he would have invested £145,000 of his own money. But here's where the magic happens. The interest that he would have earned would be £437,750.23. And as you can see, he has 40 years to compound it. And as a visual on that chart, the blue bar graph represents the money that he's applying. He's accumulating of his own money, which is small, steady increases. But if you look at the orange bar, that represents his money earning more money. So that there is the compounding effect taking place, essentially. And that would earn Gary a revenue of £2,913.75, which we'll all agree is pretty decent. But more importantly, and the most important one, if Gary starts at 18, so the sooner you start, the better. Let's take a look at what happens when Gary starts at 18 years old. Over his lifetime, he only still invests a modest £188,200 himself. But with that compounding effect, he earns £1,046,809.87, and this gives him a staggering monthly revenue of £6,175.04. And bring yourself to the visuals in the middle, the chart. Don't forget again, the blue representing tiny little small increases is him accumulating his £300 every month and just letting it compound and letting it compound. And the orange, as you can see, in the later years is that magic happening. That's the compounding effect. And that's doing all the heavy lifting in the years. So if I had any advice to give onto a child, this would be it. It would be get started on your investment journey as early as possible. And this is why I'm interested in compound interest and dividend investing rather than capital appreciation. I hope, guys, that you enjoyed today's video, and if you appreciate the content that I'm putting out, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Smash that like button for me, guys, and I will see you in the next video.